Hey guys. So I took a nap, so I feel a little bit better than I did earlier. But I don't know. Let's talk about leukemia for a second. So when I first got diagnosed, I was actually like I didn't want to tell anybody because I didn't want people to worry. So I didn't tell my family, like my direct family, for almost a year, almost. Um, so they didn't really understand why my partner had left me, um, and why all that happened. I just didn't want them to worry. But so I have chronic myeloid leukemia, which is the slow acting one. Acute myeloid leukemia is the quick acting one where it can kill you faster. Um, so and like unlike regular cancer, like other cancers, it's not stages, it's phases. There's phase 1, there's phase 2, and there's phase 3. Right now I am in phase 3, which is the last phase, which is the crisis phase, I think, where it starts to turn into acute leukemia, which is the fast acting one I was just talking about. But my doctor's hoping if we can find the right chemo that will finally start working, we can bring me back down to phase 2 or 1 and I can stay in the chronic leukemia. I know it's hard to make sense of this. Sometimes I still don't understand it. But sorry, I'm eating on these. They're chocolate covered almonds. I love these. Um, what was I saying? See, brain fog. I forget what I'm saying all the time. Uh, so far I have not been responding to any of my treatment. I have been on multiple different chemo pills. I've been on Sprycel. I've been on imatinib. Um, and there's a few other ones. And each one has caused me to have worse complications. The first one I was on actually caused me to go into septic shock like 4 times. And if you know what that is, you know it can kill you. So it started out as like a simple UTI or a kidney infection, and then it went septic. And I was so worried about taking care of everybody else, so I didn't pay attention to myself like I should have been, and I went into septic shock. And what happened the first time that I went into septic shock, that's when I came home from the hospital. I barely even remember any of it. I was so messed up. They had me on so many pain medicines because it's so painful. But I was ambushed by my partner and his mother saying that they were taking custody of my kids and that they were taking the house. That completely tore me down. Now, when that all happened, that's when I turned to drugs. But before that happened, another time I went into septic shock, I was, and this is really hard to talk about, guys. So the fact that I'm sharing it with you really means something. So I had my son, and I take him to the school bus every day. You know, this is before I lost the house, because when he did this, he was living with his mother at the time, and I was still in the house. And I had one of our sons, well, my son. And I didn't pick him up from school, from the bus stop one day. So the school came by to the house, and they couldn't get me to answer the door. So they had to call the police. Well, apparently, I was so worried about taking care of my kid that I wasn't paying attention to my health. I not only was in septic shock, I had pneumonia. I had a fever of 107 and I was passed out on the couch. Okay. I didn't wake up for a few days when I went to the hospital. So, yeah, this is painful to talk about. When I got to the hospital, a few days later, when I finally woke up, I'm freaking out, wondering where my son is. And, you know, all this is because I was so worried about taking care of him, I wasn't worrying about my health. I don't even know if I'm going to post this video, to be honest. But So I've been septic shock at least 4 times. Then another one of the chemos they put me on actually caused my lungs to fill up with fluid. And they were so full of fluid that I had to go get them drained. And they drained, I think it was 700 milliliters of fluid out of my lungs. Like, I could not breathe. I had to be on oxygen constantly. And I was also incarcerated at that time. And the jail was not taking care of me like they should have been. And it got bad. I was in and out of the hospital a lot. So they've had to keep switching up my chemos multiple times over and over again just to try to find the right one that would work for me without causing all these horrible side effects that make me sick and that could possibly kill me. So this is a hard thing to live with because, it's not going to be the cancer that's going to take me out. It's going to be getting sick from something else, most likely. You know, I have been living with this since 2022, and they said when I was diagnosed that I had probably had it for a year or so before. Back in the day, this is leukemia, they would have given you 5 years to live. That's what they would have done. But technology has gone so far now that I could live up to 20 years, all that. But there's also a stem cell transplant, but that is like a last resort because they give you such high doses of radiation and chemo to kill off all your bone marrow to give you new bone marrow. And like what my doctor told me is what could either happen is the cancer could come back, or you could get an autoimmune disease, and you have to be in the hospital for like 3 months with this, by the way. You have to be in complete quarantine. Like, so I'd rather not do that because it's also really high risk that it could kill you, just those such high doses of chemo and radiation. I don't know. I don't talk about my cancer much to people, so for me to open up to you guys about this, like, it's really hard for me. Um, so right now he has two of our children. The other two actually live in the house with my mom. Um, and I can't talk about any more about the kids because that's just too painful. I mean, I still get to see them. I do. But it's honestly probably better that he has them because he's not sick, and I'm sick. So, but at least I get to see them. He is a great father. Don't get me wrong, he is a great dad. I just wish he wouldn't have left me when I needed him most. But all that's in the past. I'm probably going to remake this video. I don't know. Right now, I think I'm taking imatinib. I take 300 milligrams a night of the chemo pill. And I take it at night so I can try to sleep off the sickness. And if I forget and I take it too late in the night, that's when I feel sick during the day. I don't know, it just sucks. It's like a cancer that kills you slowly. I would much rather just have something that can either be, cut out of me or cured than something that's in my blood and bones that's just not going away. It's something I have to live with. It took a lot for me to say this to you guys, so. I don't know if I'm going to post it or not.